Hi there, Dave Rawlings here, and I have a new product for you to look at today. It's a Dussack by a guy who's on Facebook under the name of Alan Carson. He was recommended to me by Robert Brooks of the Hotspur School of Defence, and I think it's an interesting product which he's committed to developing in an ongoing manner. It's always an improving process, which is wonderful and very, very nice to deal with. So, first of all, what I wanted to show you before that is some of the things that we have been using or do currently use in the school to train Dussack, and the pros and the cons of them. So, first of all, the obvious one, messers. They are a good crossover between Dussack, the wooden version, and the steel version, in that obviously you have a nail as you would on the wooden one, but you don't have a bow, which is a little bit of a shame, and you don't have the full basket as you would on the metal ones. But you stick this in a heavy glove, and the heavy glove actually replicates the strengths and weaknesses of a Dussack basket quite well, i.e. you get a lot of protection on the outside, a little bit vulnerable to thrusting on the inside, but still has some impact protection. So this is a good compromise. Now, the second one, here, for drilling, these, about 10-15 quid. No good for sparring because they're far too heavy and far too pointy and don't offer any protection. But for drilling, they are passable, and if anybody tells you you cannot train sword techniques using a material which is not steel or wood, they are lying to you. You can. It's not optimum, but these are a really good, affordable way of getting yourself started, provided you are careful of these absences of safety. Next, we have the Black Fencer. Now, this was made on my request, and I went for a more baskety basket rather than Dussack basket, so it's not asymmetrical, and this is because I like to fence with both hands, and I can still do some of the thumbing the flat on the inside, but it's not perfect if you're really, really prissy about these things. Now, here I would change this so that this is a little bit lighter in the blade. I went for a very, very heavy blade. They did exactly what I asked. I would have this kind of halfway between this weight and the sabre weight. Black Fencer is always absolute pleasure to deal with. Passable. And passable because of the choices I made, by the way, not the ones that Black Fencer made. Now, these are the synthetics made by Purple Heart and Spez, and I apologise if any of the products coming on from here have changed since I obtained them. There are problems with both of them, I feel, but there's good things in both as well. So, first of all, the Spez. This was really the starter of the synthetic Dussack period. So here, these are very, very heavy. They're fairly unforgiving in the thrust, and they're a little bit brutal. They're okay. They don't respond well enough to justify those flaws, in my opinion. You can't put a really heavy glove on comfortably and be able to move in these. They may have made these larger now, but this was a big problem. You couldn't get adequate protection to use them for the way they were. If you weren't using them with enough force, they weren't that responsive. So I don't think these were a great compromise. But, you know, some people like them, not my thing. The Purple Heart, likewise, is a lighter version, more gentle in the hit, and that was a good thing, and they went for a little grip here which came undone quite a lot but was still good, and they tried to put a little nail in, a lot thinner, which gave it a little bit of give here. Okay? Again, I felt it was better than Spez because it was more suitable here, and it did respond quite well, but too light and, again, not for me. Now, this has changed quite a lot since this. This is one of the first incarnations of this. For example, they've thickened this out an awful lot to stop the handles collapsing here. So you've got many more layers of leather. And it has improved, but I find the handling of these a little bit dead. That said, Purple Heart have been a stalwart for HEMA for years. It's still not my optimum design of a Dussack, but it's okay. They did another one which was too bulbous at the end and everybody kept giggling, so we had some of those and gave them away quickly because we were running out of tissues where people were crying so much. I found those quite dead as well. So this is going to be shown to you very quickly, then thrown away, because it's something that Purple Heart started with me, and I really hope they get back to doing this. They were working with myself, they were working with some other people, and they're getting some very good ideas on how to create a good wooden Dussack simulator. And it's something I'd love to see them get back to, but I'm not going to go into any more detail on that because you don't want to see what's inside because it's a secret, do you? Now, next, Alan Carson's product. Now, this is a very, very interesting thing. It has several issues. It's not perfect, but it's my favourite thing so far. So what you have is a compromise. You have different options with this, by the way. You can get this in wood here as well, but this is synthetic, very, very similar to the Spez and the purple parts. It is a very solid synthetic material here, and layered in between that we have leather. Now the problem we've had with this is that this being two pieces of leather here, this splits, and we talked about having one piece of leather and folding it, but this creates different problems. So this splits here. This may be because of the beeswaxing, we're not sure. Also, the ends of these split. Now, I compromised with this, and I got some bathroom sealant, and I put that in there, and that seems to have made it an awful lot better. So that happened, all of this parting in the leather happened within about half an hour of me getting my hands on this and hitting people with them. So you would imagine that I would be really, really pissed off with the product. And I'm not. I'm really not. And the reason is that as far as I'm concerned, these are still the best Dussack trainer on the market. And I'm going to go through some reasons why. First of all, this rigidity here makes them an absolute pleasure to beat with flat, with the back edge, all sorts. Absolutely lovely. The handling is terrific, really, really good. The grip is quite small, and I'll go into this some more. These can pop out your hands when you're holding in this grip if you get it hit, but you just learn to have a little bit of flexibility in the wrist, so this is passable as well. The problem with the separation, as I said, is easy to sort, and I might have to do this at the end of every training session, at the end of every 2 training sessions. I do not know. I still think that this is worth it. So what he's done, you have your 2 synthetic pieces, and then you have your 2 layers of leather. This gives you a good mobility in the point here, but these stop this from just collapsing under any impact. And this will squash up, by the way. It does squash up quite nastily, but then you can straighten it out. So, the next point I would mention is these bows obviously are good and sturdy being synthetic, and they don't collapse under the strength of somebody hitting your hand, which is great. The next thing I'd point out, however, is look at the size of this grip. I can just get my hand inside with a red dragon glove. Now that, you should say, should be a game stopper, because I should not want to use these, because that means I can't spar heavily with them and I cannot get involved and have a good crack about. And you know what? I disagree with that, and I disagree with it because I used these for about 4 days last week, and we had to drill. We ended up taking off our masks, we ended up taking off our gloves. There's no point in having gloves because they were too clunky. We thought, what the hell, we'll take off the masks as well. And you know what? I think it really benefited the training. They're a different training tool. These aren't for you to fly yourself and beat the living shit out of each other. These are for you to drill. They behave lovely. I've drilled with machetes, and I think these actually move very, very similar to a good, decent, weighty machete. You can beat them to the side, you can throw with them. And the benefit of shifting my training to match this product, I think, really, really outweigh the problems. It's a fantastic development. As I say, it's ongoing. We're looking at how to get a little bit of a knuckle guard here, but absolutely fantastic. I would not change those aspects that I've spoken about. That my training has gone to match the tool, I think, is a good thing. It's helped us to drill in a different way. And I would encourage you to pick these up. They're about €80, and I honestly think that they are the best Dussack simulator on the market at the moment. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review. I will leave it at that, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.